kids out in line. Let Philadelphia freedom ring and patriotic voices sing. Red, white, blue, never give up. You represent America.
Hoping and praying for a brighter day. I listen to my heart and I obey. How can I see it any other way? I'm looking at life with my own eyes.
Dearest Mother, as my long journey ends, and I approach Dr. Franklin's Philadelphia, I grow increasingly uneasy. Though I believe deeply that I am where I belong, the pain of so recently leaving both you and Father is, I must admit, difficult to bear. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I feel ever so alone. And what of my friends here? What will James, Moses, and Henri think of me now? Probably that I'm a silly girl who keeps changing her mind about who she really is. Moses? Oh.
Slow down, James.
Prices are still so high, Moses. I don't see how we can... Moses?
Sarah?
Hi.
Sarah! Sarah, what? Why?
Because I finally realized something. I realized I am an American.
Welcome home.
Well, it's about time, isn't it?
James, I feel so wonderful, even you can't ruin it.
What? Hey!
Aren't you glad to see me? I have so much to tell you about. John Paul Jones, and England, and Mother, and Parliament, and 2 ocean journeys with the worst food I ever ate, and, where's Henri? I thought that...
That's it! Hey! Stop it! Ow! Take it back! Never! You are a liar! Am not!
Stop it, both of you!
Sarah?
I'll show you! Do not! Put me down! I'm gonna tell my father!
He called Dr. Franklin a fraud and a blowhard!
Henri, he's just saying that to make you angry.
I am not!
Well, if he is, it's working!
Stop it! Now! Now, how did this start?
When Charles said bad things about Dr. Franklin, I said, take it back or else. He wouldn't, so I taught him a lesson he'll never forget.
Ha! Doesn't Charles have the right to his own opinion, even if you disagree with it?
Yes, but
That's part of being free. Haven't you learned anything from Moses and Dr. Franklin?
I guess.
Then maybe you should apologize for starting the fight.
I'm sorry I punched you first. But you're wrong about Dr. Franklin.
I am not!
Stop shouting. Why do you think Dr. Franklin is a fraud and a blowhard?
I don't know. My dad told me.
I want to show you something. Look around, Charles. What do you see?
Junk?
See?
In a way, he's right, Henri. It used to be junk.
Until Dr. Franklin got his hands on it.
Did you know Ben Franklin is an inventor?
No.
Moses, play for him. Play for me, please.
Truce?
Fine.
Fine.
All right then.
How do you do that?
This is an invention of Dr. Franklin's called the glass harmonica. See how the different sized glass bowls turn together as I rotate the crank? And when I touch the edge of one of the bowls, thank you kindly.
Moses, tell him about this.
Do you know what this key did, Charles?
Unlock the door to the crown jewels?
Not exactly, but it opened another door to a new world of electricity. It was in 1752 when Dr. Franklin was 46 years old.
As soon as any of the thunderclouds come over the kite, the pointed wire will draw the electric fire from them. When the rain has wet the twine so that it can conduct the electric fire freely, you will find it stream out plentifully from the key on the approach of your knuckle.
He caught sparks. So what?
For one thing, in case you don't believe Dr. Franklin is a man of courage, the next man who tried the same experiment died. And what a discovery Dr. Franklin made! As we learn to control those sparks, we'll be able to use their energy.
To power boats.
Or drive carriages without horses.
Or even help to cook, Charles. Dr. Franklin tried it once. Like many scientific experiments, it did not work out well. It was 2 days before Christmas. Dr. Franklin was hosting a dinner party.
Why Dr. Franklin's inventions are fascinating.
So daring.
I have a Franklin stove myself. You know, the natural white getting their hands on his ideas online.
He did not like to see an animal suffer needlessly and hoped to use electricity to end its life painlessly.
Dr. Franklin!
Let me help. Oh, my. Are you all right?
Oh yes, perfectly fine.
I want to try that.
Yeah!
Absolutely not. Electricity can be very dangerous.
James's parents died in a fire started by an electrical storm.
To prevent fires started by lightning, Ben invented this.
A lightning rod. With Ben's new device attached to the roof, the lightning bolt was attracted to the point of the rod. The electricity traveled down a copper wire into the ground. Of course, in Ben's house, he sent the charge through an apparatus that rang some small bells. In a large storm, the bells could ring for hours.
want to invent things like Dr. Franklin someday.
Me too. I wish I had a fancy education like he did.
Fancy education? Let me tell you about Ben's fancy education.
What kind of lies are you filling my son's head with? Come here, Charles.
They're not lies, sir. Would you like to hear for yourself?
I insist on hearing for myself, so I can be sure to correct them.
Charles just told us Dr. Franklin had a fancy education.
Wonder where the kid heard that.
Sir, that is simply not the case. Dr. Franklin grew up in Boston, directly across from Old South Church, in a home filled to bursting with 12 brothers and sisters. Ben was crushed to learn his family could no longer afford to send him to class. He was 9 years old.
Like this, Father?
His father put him to work in the family business, making candles. Ben spent the money he earned on his greatest love, books. Ben Franklin had no fancy education, Charles. Ben Franklin taught himself.
Does your family borrow books from the Library Company of Philadelphia, Charles?
Of course.
Ben Franklin founded it, along with the American Philosophical Society, the Union Fire Company, the College of Philadelphia, and the Pennsylvania Hospital.
Charles, have you ever had the misfortune to be sick or injured?
Never. The boy's strong, like his father.
You're both lucky. And if you lived in the days before Dr. Franklin founded that hospital, being healthy would have made you even luckier. Many poor, ill, and insane people were reduced to wandering the streets of Philadelphia. It was a terrible situation. Now, in the Pennsylvania hospital, there's a place for the sick. Just as importantly, people started learning how to be doctors. This awful war gave them a chance to learn firsthand about the human body. Seeking to ease the terrible suffering, they've taken to the battlefields. There, they've been confronted with every injury and sickness you could imagine. And then some. Thanks to our doctors' newfound experience, people are being cured of illnesses and healed from injuries in ways that were never possible before.
Mr. Montgomery, did you ever read Dr. Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac? Dr. Franklin published the first edition of Poor Richard's Almanac when he was 26 years old. It contained all the usual weather reports, recipes, and predictions. What set it apart were the lively writing and witty sayings.
A penny saved is a penny earned. There are no gains without pains. A learned blockhead is a greater blockhead than an ignorant one. He that lies down with dogs shall rise up with fleas.
Library, philosophy, college, almanacs. All very amusing. But my money's no longer worth anything. I'm tired of this war. And Ben Franklin, as much as any other man, started us on this road to ruin.
Mr. Montgomery, you have to understand where Dr. Franklin's deep commitment to freedom comes from. He wrote, in 1717, my brother James returned from England
with a press and letters to set up his business in Boston. I signed indentures when I was but 12 years old to serve as an apprentice for the next 9 years of my life.
Presenting this week's issue of the New England Current. featuring the latest column by Mrs. Silence Dogood. Listen. I reflected in my mind on the extreme folly of those parents who, blind to their children's dullness and insensible of the solidity of their skulls, will needs send them to the Temple of Learning, by which she meant Harvard College. Isn't that hilarious?
It's very funny, all right.
I'd love to know who this sharp-tongued lady really is.
James, I am Mrs. Silence Dogood. I've been writing that column and slipping it under the door in the middle of the night, watching everyone laugh at my words, but never being able to take credit for them. Do you know how that feels?
James grew increasingly abusive with his 17-year-old brother.
Aren't you finished yet? I don't want to be here all night.
I'm hurrying.
You idiot! You did that on purpose!
It was an accident.
I don't believe you! And I've had enough of your disrespect!
Dr. Franklin left soon after.
He never forgot his brother's harsh and tyrannical treatment, Mr. Montgomery. That's where Dr. Franklin got that aversion to arbitrary power, which that has stuck to me through my whole life.
It's also one of the reasons he's taken such a strong stand against slavery.
Slavery is the economic foundation of our southern states, and many of us in the North have made our profits from slave labor too. With all respect, sir, whoever freed you made a mistake. That said, I admit you do make solid points about Benjamin Franklin.
You are entitled to your opinion about slavery, sir, though by what you say, you would deny me mine.
Where's Charles? Where's my son?
And where's Henri?
Look out! I can't control him!
Sarah, I almost didn't get to hear you tell me about your trip. Moses!
Thank you, sir. I am glad you are a free man.
You are welcome. And I hope someday you will say that to an African man who did not just save the life of your son.
Dearest James, Sarah, and Henri, I know you wish you could see me, but as you can't, I will describe myself to you. Figure me in your mind as jolly as formerly, and as strong and hearty, only a few years older. Very plainly dressed, wearing my thin gray straight hair that peeps out from under my fine fur cap. Think how this must appear among the powdered heads of Paris. Still, they mock me.
On behalf of the British Crown, I would be most...
Good evening.
I don't believe it. Sacre bleu.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir. Côte de Virgin, Ben Franklin at your service.
Dr. Franklin, what a surprise. Welcome to Versailles.
A man of my years is happy to be welcomed anywhere. But I tell you this, there have been unknown people as great as any of the most famous. However, my dear friends, if you would not be forgotten as soon as you are dead and rotten, either write things worth reading or do things worth writing. And children, I am quite certain that you shall.
Searching for a hero to idolize, feeling the
give up. You represent America.